Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David.
How are you doing?
Well, we'll take those 2 points today, I think, won't we?
Yeah, what was the shot total?
It was 51-22 in regulation for Pittsburgh and 6-1 in overtime for Edmonton. But how the game ever got to overtime is a little bit of a gift from the hockey gods.
The Oilers won that game, Bruce, with depth scoring, goaltending, and exceptional PK work. So yes. It's the most unlikely Oiler win of the last, 5 years. I don't know, since 2016-17. They just never win. They never win games with those three things going. But and also, frankly, other than Draisaitl's winning goal, with the Oilers' top line stinking it out, they were horrible.
That's the wild card here. They never win without big contribution from their top line, and of course, the argument can be made they got that contribution at the very, very end of the day with a great solo effort and deposit by Draisaitl in overtime. But that was among the few things that the dynamic duo, as some call them, did really in the entire game. That was a weird game in a lot of ways.
McDavid wasn't even on the ice. That was the league's current most valuable player, Leon Draisaitl, doing it on his own there, Bruce. Man, he just pulled up the ice. Yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl, their timing was off. Everything was off. They just couldn't get it together today. They had some 2-on-1 opportunities. They couldn't even get it together. So, Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. What is your good thing?
My good thing is the foot soldiers, and specifically the job they did on the penalty kill, which the Oilers were shorthanded 5 times in this game, including as soon as they got the lead, 1-0 midway in the second, courtesy of a great goal by a very unexpected source, Colby Cave. Talk about foot soldiers scoring off a terrific outlet pass by Matt Benning, I might add, who's another bottom of the roster player. And then after that, they started a steady parade to the penalty box for ticky-tack. I think there was, the puck over glass, you can't argue with that one. And then there was 3 in a row that were, kind of, I guess maybe marginally fouls. And then they did call a couple on Pittsburgh, of course. But in the meantime, the Oilers had to kill off all these penalties against the powerhouse power play. Malkin, Crosby, Letang, Schultz. That's a pretty potent crew. And the Pittsburgh power play is in a slump, but the Oilers, usually they break slumps for other teams,
Yeah.
And today they actually did the job. And I thought guys like Marcus Granlund and Patrick Russell, Chris Russell, Darnell Nurse, Oscar Klefbom, not a depth player, of course, those last 2, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I thought they did just excellent work on the PK, and that was a big part of the reason the Oilers were able to hang around in this game.
Yeah, that was, the Oilers were lucky, I think, that Malkin wasn't sharp, because he had a number of chances to score where he just wasn't sharp. He missed the net, he couldn't get off a good shot, or Smith did make some saves, but Malkin didn't look like he was quite at the top of his game. So that was a good thing for the Oilers, because all those shots, Bruce, I just kept expecting one of them was going to deflect in, because that's usually what happens, right? You get so many shots and one of them just bounces in that way.
And then you get all these penalty kills, and then the stupid power play lets you down by giving up a wide open 3-on-2. I was just beside myself when they scored to tie it up after all those good PKs. To just give them one like that.
It's almost justice, though, with the flow of the game. Like, you couldn't.
Pittsburgh certainly earned the 1 point. I'll say that, and
they sure did.
And that's half credit probably for what they really deserved, but. Whatever, they've fleeced Edmonton in overtime, the shootout, time and again in recent years. So these teams always play close games, and Pittsburgh almost always finds a way to win them. So this time the shoe was on the other foot, and good. They'll take the 2 points.
this wasn't a close game actually, but yeah.
Well, the scores have been close. I mean,
Yes.
all of them been one goal. The last game between them was 3-1 with an empty netter, and all the others are one goal games, and many of them going into overtime, going back 4 years.
So my good thing is Mike Smith. There's not a lot to say other than he looked like as sharp as as sharp as you can sharpen that goalie knife. He was that sharp. He, like, even on the outside shots where goalies sometimes look a little bit befuddled or lucky, he just was on them all, just snapping them up with his glove hand. Hardly a mistake. There was one bad rebound that almost got by him late in the game, like where he let out a rebound and the guy almost tapped it in. But other than that, he was just so exceptionally on top of things in net. And right to overtime, like where the Oilers had been Nugent Hopkins and above, that they've been up and down the ice with him and Neal a few times, and Pittsburgh finally got it. It looked like they might have like a 3-on-0, and they kind of cleared it down the ice. And you just knew though Mike Smith was going to race out and get that puck, and it was going to amount to nothing. He was exceptional, Bruce, and he and Koskinen have outplayed the opposition goalie more often than not, probably about 2/3 of the time. Is that a fair
Yeah,
statement?
they've certainly held up their end of the bargain and then some. So here's my question for you: was he outstanding in this game, or was he transcendent?
Because you got to mark it.
I sure do.
Well, think
It's
about
a,
the
it's a,
one
it's a
goal.
9 or a 10. I'm thinking of the one that got by him. I'm thinking of the giveaway behind his own net in overtime. What a horrible way to lose that would have been. Darnell Nurse came sliding through and saved his bacon. Oh man, can you imagine losing on that play? Anyway, it could have happened, and Nurse saved the day. And then otherwise, I mean, 51 saves on 52 shots is pretty hard to criticize that performance. I mean, it's not quite a Scrivens, but it's close.
It was, and I could see why you're thinking of a 10, but it's
Uh-huh.
probably a 9.
Yeah, I'm leaning to 9. I'm really cheap with 10s, but that was a goaltender win, and
If you had shut them out, it would have been a 10.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Because that was a good shot that beat him, but
hmm
not
yeah.
not a like he might have saved it, right? So you can't give him a 10, right? Because he might have saved that one. Is what I would say. All right, let's move on to the bad thing. What's your bad thing?
In general, Oilers 5-by-5 play, and I'm going to leave part of this to you, and come back to part of it in my number. But they had trouble completing passes. They were really struggling to maintain possession of the puck through the neutral zone. There was just too many sloppy coughing ups of the puck, where it looked like they might have a little bit of promising position, and then a simple pass would be in someone's skates or behind them or 10 feet in front of them, or the guy would fumble the pass, same difference. And they really didn't have a whole lot of flow. And honestly, their low end players had more of that kind of stuff going on than the top two lines did for most of the 5-on-5 part of the game.
Yeah, Bruce, you could almost go like in terms of which lines played the best. Probably the fourth line was the best, then the third line was the next best. Chason, I thought, had a pretty good game. He came on, he had a really physical shift right at the end of the game. Then the second line was the next best, then the first line. It was almost like reverse order in terms of who did the best work at even strength. I thought Gaetan Haas made a number of strong plays defensively. It's funny, like he's still figuring it out, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a really sound defensive hockey player. When I'm watching him out there, I'm looking at someone who knows how to stay in the passing lanes and stay on the right side of the player in the defensive zone. He's fundamentally sound defensively. And that's what I'm noticing on shift after shift. I feel okay with him out there, even though he's still a little bit iffy when he gets the puck on a stick, knowing exactly what to do all the time. But I like the way he played. So my bad thing is the first line, and in particular McDavid. Connor McDavid made five major mistakes on grade A scoring chances against, which it takes a lot of doing for a forward. And in the first, it started in the first shift where he gets caught behind the net on a pass out front, and Pittsburgh gets an early chance, from that low to high slot, ram it at the net. And then it, kind of culminated on the power play where he turned over the puck, and then he kind of watched for a second. And in that second that he watched, the player that he was covering streaked up the ice, took off up the ice, and then scored. So it was I don't know what was with McDavid that game, but he wasn't, again, they weren't sharp offensively passing the puck, but he's got to work. Like, he's just got to work feverishly on defense, like every other player in the NHL, frankly. And there's no, if you want to be on a winning team, a team that wins consistently, the best players have got to do that. And he did not do that game.
Yeah. Well, you compare him to Sidney Crosby, which you got to do in a game like this. Yeah. And Sid is such a sound 200-foot player, takes care of details, pays attention to what's going on in all areas of the ice. And now, granted, he's got 10 more years under his belt than does Connor, and you expect a more complete player at that, uber high level. But it remains a weakness in McDavid's game, the defensive side of the puck, and this is year 5. I mean, at some point, Ken Holland's going to have the Stevie Y conversation with him. Remember the famous Detroit, where they finally won the cup in Yzerman's 13th year. And he became famous for being a selfless two-way player. His stats went down a little bit, but the team started winning more. And it's not an exact parallel. I mean, McDavid's at another level again from Stevie Yzerman, who was a phenomenal player. But McDavid is, all world in terms of the talent level and so on. But there are times that he just needs to, just read the play better when the other guys have got the puck. Like there was one right away early in the game where he wandered around below the goal line, covering no one, and left a guy open in the slot for a real good look. It's like 15 seconds into the first period.
Yeah, we were talking the same play there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And, it was funny when Tippett was asked about Draisaitl being an excellent defensive player in the press conference. Did you notice Tippett's answer? He said, "Oh yeah." He says when he's concentrating.
Yeah, and that's exactly true of Draisaitl also.
That's exactly now. Leon really is, I think, like he's a gifted defensive player because he does read the play so well and he's so big. And both he and McDavid get by defensively, generally speaking, all the time, because when they get the puck, they can advance the puck out of the Oilers' zone. Right. So that's a huge part of defending that the Oilers have always been really terrible at, but they're really exceptional at just because of their talent level. But without the puck, that's where McDavid needs work, as does Draisaitl. And with both of them, it's just a matter of concentration and focus on defensive fundamentals and someone working with them on it. I don't know, like maybe that's. But
you would think Dave Tippett, remembering the kind of player he was in his career, which was a very sound defense first kind of player. He, that would be the right guy who used to play center. Like he's got the background to be the right guy, and maybe it's just going to take some time. But there is work to be done. I just don't see how you can deny it.
Indeed, which partly explains their negative, their on ice goals against at even strength last year in the second half, Bruce, where they were a couple of the weakest. They got smoked. All right, let's move on to our numbers.
Okay, well, my number is an extension of what you were just talking about, and this is a 5-on-5 play, shots on goal, with Connor McDavid on the ice. Pittsburgh had 18 5-on-5 shots. Edmonton had 1, 18-1, and Leon Draisaitl barely any better at 17-1. I mean, if you look at even at shot attempts, 3, 4, 28 against. Like they weren't generating anything and they weren't defending. I mean, it was a tough combination, and it's a miracle the Oilers survived that at basically 0-0 at 5-on-5.
That could have been a 5-0 game, right? Like
it could have easy. Yeah, could have 3 or 4 or 5-1. Anyway, we'll give Edmonton credit for the one, but even that was against the flow of play.
Yeah, so my number is 4-0, and so that's grade A scoring chances by kind of the bottom, what are known as the bottom 6 players, as opposed to the top line guys. So at even strength, Neil, Draisaitl and McDavid have been getting a huge proportion, well over 50% of the grade A scoring chances for forward scoring chance shots. This game it was 4-0. So Draisaitl and McDavid and Neal didn't get one at 5-on-5 play this game, not one between them. But Russell got one, Kara got one, Cave got the goal, and Haas got one. So good for them. Now if we could just put the two really good things, if these bottom lines come on and
you need that's a confidence booster for, I would say, for most of the team. Hey, look at that. We just beat Pittsburgh Penguins without our big guns really rolling. Yeah. And we did it because our bottom guys came through. I thought Marcus Granlund had a tremendous game today.
Best game.
But and Cave and so on. Like the fourth line with the score 1-1 in the last minute of the third period. Guess who was on the ice? What does that tell you? Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not sure necessarily about the combinations of players, but they do seem to be working okay. In terms of like the 9 forwards that are picking right now, this is the most I've liked that bottom group of 9 forwards, like the 9 guys that they've now picked. I think they have the right 9 guys, give or take Granlund. But if he plays like that, he's one of them. Now we were missing, interestingly, Sheehan. We were missing. But Cave played better. Cave played a better game than Sheehan's played this year, is the truth. And so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen there. Cave, he's earned another game, obviously. So there'll be no rushing back, which is probably a good thing with Sheehan because he's on a concussion protocol anyway.
Probably.
And it's not like he's been, of that group of players, I'm not singling out Sheehan as being a bad player. I would have played him, for instance, ahead of Granlund in tonight's lineup. But he's got to step up too. And one thing about, it's not like Cave's fast, although he looked fast on that goal, but Sheehan's a slow player. And what the Oilers need, I think, overall is just a little bit more speed. So yeah, that was big win, Bruce. What are we, 10-5? 10 wins, 5 losses.
10-4-1.
10-4-1.
21 points through 15 games. Compared to the 2016-17 team, now they're ahead of that team, which was 9-5-1 through 15 games, and would go on to lose 3 more in a row before righting the ship. So they're actually going to be ahead of that pace for a little while, but it's nice. I mean, to come out of this road trip with 2 wins in 3 games after the stinker in Detroit that started it out. Like after that Detroit loss, you think, oh boy, this road trip, maybe we'll get a point in one of these 2 games and maybe we won't, kind of where I was at after the Detroit game, which does not leave me in a good frame of mind, obviously. But they bounced back hard in Columbus, earned those 2 points convincingly. Today, they hung around and long enough for the big boy. And, for all the criticism we've given the big boys today, 4-on-4 in the third period, they were terrific. And 3-on-3 in overtime, they won the game, So
we'll have to blame Cassian then, I guess.
Hey, there you go. Cassian gets a 1.
The other really good thing, Bruce, is Ethan Bear got taken out with possibly, I don't know if it was a dirty play. It was, it was kind of like, is it a slew foot? He did stick his foot in there, but it's kind of like it's an effort play too. Like
a puck battle, and he tried to get a piece of him, but he did it by reaching out with his foot and clipping him on the back of the skate, and that's a dangerous play. I called it dangerous, and I said some would call it dirty, and I got some feedback, people saying it was a dirty slew foot, and other people saying it wasn't dirty, and others who even said it wasn't dangerous. Well, to me, it's a dangerous play when you're catching a guy with an extended leg coming in from behind, like deliberate or not, it's dangerous. I'm not in Brian Rust's head. I'm not going to say it was dirty, but I didn't like it.
Right? He's just trying to make the play with whatever part of the body that he can, and it was marginal. Whether he might have just been trying to pin him, right, rather than trip him. That's why I would say dangerous, not dirty. Anyway, the good thing was that Bear wasn't hurt. Thank goodness, because if Bear had been
when
hurt,
he didn't finish the first period, I was just head in my hands, just
Yeah.
Oh,
You hear that? You hear this thumping in the background. I think my daughter is practicing her shot downstairs, Bruce. So you might
if
not
you
have.
see me looking away from the cameras, because I have a white-breasted nuthatch visiting my bird feeder out there, which is a rare visitor. So,
If you hear any squeaking, it's because we have a little mouse in our kitchen that our cats have yet to catch. They caught 4 mice yesterday.
oh man, good
Yeah.
luck with that. Go
Oh,
with
well,
go
our
with
cats. This is the time of year when the mice come in, and within a week, our cats eliminate them all. So
Oh, okay. How many
yeah,
cats?
2.
Oh, okay.
One of them is a real mouser.
Yeah.
So anyway, good win. When's the next game? Tuesday?
2 days time. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. They're on another roll of even numbered dates here from today right through the 16th. I think it's every other day. So
Right.
it's another roll of one on, one off, and so a regular rhythm. You wonder when they're ever going to practice, but certainly a regular rhythm and no back to back. So you know.
It's amazing how many games they've played. It seems like a lot. Like,
Yeah, for only one back-to-back, and I think they've played the most in the Pacific Division now for sure, if not the league, 15 games. Like when we talked about uh, their remarkable performance in October, part of the reason was they played 14 games in October, which is a
yeah.
heavy load out of the gate.
All right. Well, thanks for talking today, Bruce.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.